Simon Wiesenthal, The Sunflower, on the Possibilities and Limits of Forgiveness. In The Sunflower, on the Possibilities and Limits of Forgiveness, Simon Wiesenthal shares the thought-provoking story of his encounter with Karl Seidl, a dying Nazi asking for forgiveness for his involvement in the Holocaust. This book summary explores the complex nature of forgiveness by delving into Wiesenthal's internal conflict in deciding whether or not to grant the soldier his dying wish. As you read through the summary, you'll be introduced to arguments for and against forgiveness, and the varying perspectives of Jewish and Christian beliefs on the topic. The aim of this summary is to challenge readers to reflect on their own beliefs and actions in the face of situations that demand empathy, understanding, and forgiveness.
A Nazi's Plea for Forgiveness. Simon Wiesenthal, a Jewish prisoner at a concentration camp during World War II, is faced with a moral and philosophical dilemma when a Nazi soldier named Karl Seidl asks for forgiveness on his deathbed. Seidl confesses his sins, including the torture and mass annihilation of Jews, and begs for Wiesenthal's forgiveness. This encounter raises questions about the power and limits of forgiveness. The burden of choosing forgiveness. After hearing the confessions of a dying Nazi soldier, Simon Wiesenthal chose empathy over forgiveness. He returned home and shared the incident with other inmates who reassured him of his decision. However, one suggested that he should have forgiven the soldier according to Christian doctrine. When the war ended, Wiesenthal visited the soldier's mother and chose to keep the truth about her son's atrocities concealed. This led him to question whether he made the right choice in not forgiving. Karl Seidl and the weight of his unforgivable wrongs. Karl Seidl was a Nazi soldier who participated in the mass murder of Jews during World War II. When Simon Wiesenthal, a concentration camp survivor, met Seidl on his deathbed and was asked for forgiveness, he remained silent. Wiesenthal needed to consider his personal suffering and the dehumanization of an entire race before responding. While some argue that Seidl's evil acts could be excused due to his missing ability to feel empathy, his path to evil was banal. He turned away from the complexities of humanity and goodness and toward the all-answering system of Nazi thought. Despite his remorse, Seidl failed to see Jews as individual human beings. In the Jewish tradition, only those who have first been forgiven by the victim can be forgiven by God. However, murder is never forgivable, and those who have been murdered cannot forgive. Seidl's unforgivable wrongs lie in his participation in the genocide and his failure to see Jews as individuals. The power of forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't condone crimes, but it helps to let go of hate and transform grief. The guilt of a perpetrator is subject to accountability and context. Capacity to show regret and change can justify forgiveness and prevent renewed suffering. Forgiveness benefits not only the guilty but also the forgiver. The elusive nature of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a complex and multifaceted issue. In his book, The Sunflower, Simon Wiesenthal grapples with the question of whether forgiveness is possible for a Nazi war criminal who seeks it out on his deathbed. Wiesenthal's journey highlights the different religious perspectives on forgiveness, such as those of Jewish and Christian faiths. While forgiveness may seem like a straightforward concept, Wiesenthal's silence in response to the dying Nazi's plea illustrates the complexity of this emotive issue. In the end, forgiveness is elusive and multidimensional, illustrating the multifaceted realities of humanity and its actions.
Simon Wiesenthal's The Sunflower highlights the profound complexities and existential dilemmas surrounding forgiveness in extreme circumstances. Through the story of the dying Nazi, Karl Seidl, the book outlines the distinct viewpoints for and against forgiveness as well as the differing perspectives held by Jewish and Christian traditions. The importance of acknowledging and evaluating multiple perspectives is emphasized throughout the book as a means to grapple with life's most unsettling moral questions, such as forgiveness in the face of heinous acts. Ultimately, the book highlights that there is no simple answer to these questions, but rather encourages us to confront the deep-seated complexities and continue asking, learning, and growing in the process. In the end, Wiesenthal's silence in response to Seidl's plea for forgiveness signifies the weight of these moral intricacies and the journey of self-discovery that we all must undertake.